friends, welcome back. Or if you're new, my name is Rose. My pronouns are she, her. Today we're doing plant chores because I have some very fun repotting to do. Both of these plants have enormous roots. They need a bigger pot. And we're gonna take some cuttings as well. So let's get started. I just cleaned the whole house yesterday, so I'm really hoping we can keep it clean this time. The first one we're repotting is this one. This is Luna, my half moon variegated monstera. And as you can see here, there's a lot of roots coming out the bottom. She's been needing a repot for a long time. You can see the new points growing here as well. We're gonna be extra careful with those. One of the questions I got on Instagram was how Luna is doing. Now you know she still has no new leaves, but she has a happy new pot, so hopefully she's gonna be happier. And they also asked how the other variegated monstera are doing. I'm showing you Fanny already, and later on I'm also gonna show you these white babies. Let me show you the ones that I have in pots as well. Big Thijs is also doing great. Look at him in the sunshine. Even the small ones are growing. There's basically nothing wrong with the soil. It's not old or anything, so I'm gonna reuse it. I am gonna add something that I haven't tried before. These are worm castings that Soil Ninja sent me. Soil Ninja is a brand from the UK that just started selling in Europe. So I'm very excited to try these because I've been looking into worm castings, but I've never actually bought them. Apparently it's worm poop that will help fertilize your plants. It doesn't smell bad. I guess worm poop is healthy soil anyway, so it shouldn't smell bad. It's not like cat poop or dog poop. So I'm just gonna mix some of this into the soil. I have no idea about measures and stuff. I didn't read the label or anything. Just gonna add it in as I think I should. And like I said, I am testing it out, so I don't know how it is yet. I am gonna also use their mix, one of their mixes. Actually, I have several of their mixes and they're semi-hydro as well. So I'm curious to see how those will work for my plants. Mix, mix, mix. A little bit at the bottom. Actually, I want a lot at the bottom so it can root into the fresh soil. Then this on one side. Nice and steady. Ta-da! Hopefully this will help Luna to grow, because since I took this cutting, she has not grown any leaves. She's only grown roots. So we'll have to wait and see. It might be a little bit risky that I repotted her now, because it might mean that she has to focus on roots again before she continues growing a leaf. But I think it was needed because it was growing all underneath the pot. It was super root bound. I think it was a good decision. Whoa, look what I just spotted. After being repotted and me handling it all over the place, I still have a live mealybug eater right here. This is a Cryptos larva. I'm so glad I didn't hurt it. There are some mealybugs on here, so that makes sense. Do you see? Some fluff. Thank you, buddy. I'm so glad you're alive. Now, as you saw, I didn't explain, but these are 3 wet sticks that I grew from Ferry. And I'm gonna sell these in spring once it gets a little bit warmer and shipping will be safer. I'm gonna pot them up separately so that they are easier to sell once I'm ready to do that. And the roots actually look amazing. These plants are all adorable, and I think because it was also quite root bound, it might start to grow a little bit faster and be a little bit happier. Like all the leaves are the same size. So maybe they're starting to become a little bit bigger now because I'm repotting and giving them all their own pot. I don't know if I have this many bigger pots. I think I have to get outside and get some for my secret pot supply. My secret pot stash. I think these will do. Ah, I'm stuck in some kind of plant. Ah, let me go. Ow, ow, ow. We were in the greenhouse, by the way. Quick few updates. It looks like my echeveria is going to flower. My Christmas cactus is already flowering, although the rest of it looks pretty sad. Oh, but look. See little pink dots? That means more flowers are coming. But mostly there is a lot of mealybugs out here, unfortunately. In here I have some soil that I'm also reusing, so that's why I'm not moving on to the Soil Ninja soil just yet. I like to reuse soil. And since these are starting to be ready for a moss pole, I'm putting them in a way that I have space to put a moss pole or maybe a bamboo stake for now. And 3. Fairy babies! Yes. Apparently my memory was full, so I didn't film the whole potting up of the 3 baby fairies. For these few, I used soil that I am reusing, so not the Soil Ninja soil just yet. And I potted these all up at an angle so that there is space for a moss pole to go here. Because they are starting to be the size where they could use a moss pole, I feel like. And I'm hoping that with that and their own separate pots, more space for their roots, the leaves will start to increase in size because they are all pretty the same. And I like, of course, big leaves. We all like big leaves, I think. Then we have this one. This is 2 little plants that I didn't sell last time. I took cuttings of my Monstera because they were so white. And if you don't know, a lot of white often means that it will brown and die, and the plant definitely needs at least 1/3, or I prefer 50-50 green for it to be happy. So that's why I kept them for now. They are growing quite well. As you can see, it's still very white, but nice amounts of green. So I'm going to separate these 2 as well, give them their own pots, and then hopefully when I sell the other ones, I can also sell these now that they have a better balance. My memory was full again. So now you didn't see how I potted up the other 2. At least you saw me unpot these. Look how cute this one is. Did I show you that already? The weird leaf. So yeah, they are potted up as well now. They are a little bit more slow during the winter time, but sun is coming, spring is coming, so I'm hoping that they'll pick up their growth pace again very soon. Let me move this whole forest of monsteras out of the way so that we can make space for my beautiful anthurium, King of Spades. Okay, for the anthurium baby, we're going to use that soil that I mentioned. The person who created this mix for them is actually a friend of mine, and I'm very curious to try it out. As you can see, it's bark and soil and perlite, but also these blue bits that are some type of semi-hydro. Interesting. Feels nice. Feels similar to what I do. This plant deserves to be shown up close. Before we repot him, look how beautiful. This is a King of Spades that I got from Indonesia. And the color on this new leaf, the pink and almost purple, is so beautiful. Also, the roots are super intense. Look at this. It's very, very root bound. And the stem is super chunky, so it deserves a bigger pot. I'm hoping it will size up even more once we repot. One thing I didn't think about was the old soil. We're gonna throw it in this pot. And I'm gonna keep the moss to replace at the top. Just full roots at the bottom here. 0 soil left. So I should have done this earlier. I'm also gonna pop in some of that fertilizer bits, worm castings. Putting the moss around the stem again. I love doing this. It gives the aerial roots a happier space, and that makes the plant more stable. And maybe also the humidity helps the plant in general. Although this one actually lives in my terrarium, my small terrarium. Another question on Instagram was if I have any high humidity places, and I definitely do. I have a lot. I have a big terrarium, I have this small terrarium behind me, I have prop boxes, I have little cute glass box terrariums, so yes. Maybe I should do a tour of that one day. All my high humidity spaces. Behind all these plants here is my Hoya curtisi that had been growing really well. As you can see, it's very long, but unfortunately at the top it started to dry out. I think I watered it too inconsistently. If you don't know, my watering generally is very inconsistent, and it was doing okay with it, but now I think I left it too long. So we're gonna take some cuttings and try and create a fresh new plant. And over here on Mickey's corner, this Hoya Wayeti variegata, which is a very nice full plant. Look at this, so cool. But at the base, it has been losing so many leaves. This used to be full, and I want to repot it at least and maybe take some cuttings to make sure that it survives. I feel like it has had root rot, and that's why everything is dying off. So we need to rescue what we can, or at least investigate. Right, Mick? We need to investigate. Yes. Yes, you're the most adorable cat ever. Yes, you are. Oh, yes, these are all dead. Root rot. Root rot. I'm pretty rough with this because I've seen this before at the hortus. All the roots are dead, so I'm just gonna snip it off at the base and then restart the whole plant. And usually this oldest part has the worst chance of survival, and these fresh cuttings, they have a much better chance because they're already quite woody and old. Actually, this stem is pretty dead, so I'm gonna cut it back to healthy stem. Where you see it bleeding, yes, that's much better. Dried out bits, cut them off. I usually root my Hoya straight into the soil. I think I'm gonna do half-half with this one because it's quite a tricky one. I'm gonna do half straight into soil and half in water first so I can see if there's roots growing. But it feels like this is pretty healthy material. It's gonna be okay. It's still dripping a lot of the white stuff, which is a good sign because it means that the circulation is good in the plant, but it also makes pretty bad stains, and it can hurt you if you get it in your eye or something. It can not be very nice. So I'm gonna let this drip out onto my little bottom thingy first. Ooh, wow, this is a long one. Now let's see the roots of the Wayeti. I have not repotted this since I got it a long time ago. I don't even know how long. Because I was scared to kill it, because they can be quite fussy. That's why it's in a very peaty mix, which I don't normally have for my plants. Yep, root rot for sure. Don't see any healthy roots yet. Really should follow my own advice. If your plant is looking sad, check the roots. I didn't. Sorry, buddy. Once again, zero happy roots. Oh, gross. It was in kind of a plasticky thing. Why? So we're also gonna restart this one. Oh, I should have done this earlier. And for this one as well, I think I'm gonna do half in water so I can see the roots coming, and half straight into soil because that works really well for me. All right, so we have 3 of each now, because actually Soil Ninja also sent me their semi-hydro mix, which came highly recommended by my friend who works for them. I'm curious to see it. It looks like a mix of semi-hydro, grit, and those blue bits. So I'm excited to try it. One is gonna be water. This one is soil. And since I usually grow my Hoya in my airy mix anyway, and this is the Anthurium orchid mix is pretty similar, so I'm gonna use that for the Hoya as well. It might be a bit dry because it does feel like a lot of perlite, so I have to keep on top of watering for this. Stop. I always forget. But we can use rooting hormone for this. This is perfect. This is how I do it at the botanical gardens as well. I need some props. Hold on. I got my stuff. I'm gonna put a little bit more soil in. I'm gonna use this little stick, doesn't matter what kind of stick, to make a little hole. I have rooting hormone here, rooting powder. A Pokon in this case, not sponsored. Stick it in. Stick it in. There we go. One. Now for the semi-hydro one. It's very small bits, so I like that. I don't want it too rough and different colors. Do you see? Here we are doing the same thing, except this is a little bit harder because it does. I don't work with semi-hydro very often. There's a hole in this, it's broken. So this is better. So with the soil, it actually stays as a whole and I can stick the stem in without any issue. With the semi-hydro, because all the small bits are falling over, it doesn't stay. So I'm gonna pour it in after. This is figure it out as you go, as always. If you are new to my channel, this is how we do. Just figure it out. Interesting that it's wet. When it came straight from the bag, I didn't rinse it. Sometimes you're supposed to rinse stuff, like ceramis, you definitely have to rinse. I don't know if you have to with this stuff, but I didn't, so. Okay, Wayeti. Small pieces, big pieces. What I've learned in the past few years, being the volunteer for the Hoya at the botanical gardens here in Leiden, is that when a plant gets older, in nature, it will root from the new spaces. So imagine this being the plant. My thumb is the original base of the plant, and here at my pinky is the new growth. In nature, at the pinky edge, it can also start to root. And that's why sometimes in our pots, the old roots will die off. So there's no roots here anymore, but the plant is still happy because all the other spaces are still connected. And when you grow it in a pot, it doesn't have that. So all the old roots die off, but there's no new roots. And that's why you sometimes have to restart your plant, like I'm doing now, cutting the old bits off and rerouting the healthy stems so that your plant is still a happy plant. Another question is, how do I clean the leaves, or what do I clean the leaves with? And I actually don't clean my leaves very often because of the good bugs, but also because I don't see the point. Why I'm showing this specific plant pot is because these leaves get very dusty, especially because it has a little bit of mealybug infestation. Mealybugs create that sticky stuff, and then we also have cats, and it's living very close to the cat tree, so it is basically a big mess. I recently actually cleaned these yesterday, and already I see cat hairs on it again. So you can imagine there's not really a point to it, or it feels that way anyway. If I do clean them, it's just with a moist cloth. I usually don't do any products on the leaves because I have the good bugs and I don't want to mess with them. I want to let them be happy on there. So usually just water. Before I water basically everything, there's one more thing I want to do and show you, because this is my Monstera obliqua. I grew it from a runner and it took a long time. I got this in July. It is now February. That's how long it took for it to grow one leaf. It's a very small leaf, but very adorable. And I've heard for these that they are easily to go back to runners. So we're gonna give it a tiny moss pole support situation so that it continues growing leaves and not goes back to runners. Since it is so small still, I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna do this. I think I'm just gonna pop this behind it as a little support. I have two. This one can do something later once it needs a little bit more, but here we already have a tiny little support fence thingy. What do you think? No idea if this will be anything, but we have something for now at least. I have no idea if that will be enough for now, but I'm gonna keep an eye on it. I actually moved it out of the prop box and into a plastic baggie, so it's closer to me, so I can keep an eye on it all the time. It's very adorable. Now let's water everything. I almost forgot that I have some linearis cuttings that I took from a plant yesterday that wasn't very happy. I'm gonna pop them up in semi-hydro as well. And this is how my chores videos always become so long. I'm gonna cut them all sort of the same length, just because that is cute. In order to make sure that this doesn't fall out while it's still rooting, I usually hang it up like this, like I put the pot down and then I have this leaning on something, so it's not putting all the weight, even though right now it's not a lot of weight, just to make sure that it roots properly before it gets the weight of the whole, you know, strand, whatever. Of course, I found another plant that needs attention. Look at all these roots. This is a hybrid that I got in the mail recently, a queen and something else hybrid, mystery, but it definitely wants, well, it wanted water, so now I've dunked it in water. It's growing in moss, and I'm not very happy with moss, pure moss. It just doesn't work for me. So I'm gonna pop this in a slightly bigger pot and a little bit deeper as well, so that these roots can grow into the soil. Here's a new leaf. I'm gonna leave it as is, so I'm not gonna try and pull all the roots apart because that will just ruin them. Just gonna plop this into a slightly bigger pot with some soil and moss and hope that that will make it happy. Bit of soil at the bottom, but not too much because I want it to be in quite deep, like I said. Yeah, that works. Fill her up with soil. And this again is the reusing soil that I still had, so not the nice fancy new mix. I got some moss. I do reuse my moss, that's why it looks a little bit gross, to put around the base for any new aerial roots that will come in. But now it is ready. Okay, I'm putting everything back in its place and then we're really done. I definitely didn't keep it clean, but it's okay. It's not as bad as it was before. And the last question for today is, what are my favorite plant shops? I get this question a lot, especially people who are coming to the Netherlands and want to know. I have a list on my website, yogawithroos.com/plants. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see Europe, and then you scroll down a little bit again, and you'll see my whole list of favorite plant shops, botanical gardens, anywhere you want to go for plants. And also I'm gonna add some products like these beautiful pots are from Piece of Clay, one of my favorite shops. I am working on fixing up my website, so hopefully it's gonna be a little bit more organized soon and you don't have to scroll and click and scroll and click and stuff, but there is already a great list on my website. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. You can also join my Patreon and YouTube membership for a private Discord chat and monthly Zoom calls. It's really fun. And I'll see you again in the next video. Thanks so much, friends. Bye!